Guys, people are losing their minds inside this stock market. You would think the market was down 20%, 30%. The market is only down like 3%. So why do I say people are losing their minds? Okay. There's something called the fear and greed index. The fear and greed index, it determines the sentiment of the market. So let's say extreme fear, it means, people are afraid there could be something on the horizon that could affect the economy. Interest rates could be going up a lot. Those are reasons for extreme fear, which is where we are now. We're in extreme fear. Extreme greed, on the flip side, means that everyone is bullish. People are happy to be buying stocks. They're buying everything in sight. The economy is doing well. That's extreme greed. Now, it begs the question, why are we in extreme fear? So I have a few things that I can think about, but the most important, I would say, are the institutions. The institutions, they are out here trying to trick retail investors in saying that the AI story is doomed, is over. So retail investors, they're getting afraid, they're panicking, or at least I'll say this, they're trying to get retail investors to panic. And why are they doing this? Well, you must understand, in April of this year, during the whole tariff, debacle with everything, institutions, they sold out of their stocks heavy. They were afraid, they were over leveraged, and they sold out. Now, why did they do that? They did that because they thought they could get back in time the market. Oh, there's an old saying on Wall Street that goes, and this is by Warren Buffett: when the tide runs out, you can always tell who's skinny dipping. When the tide runs out, you can always tell who's skinny dipping. So it was clear that institutions, they were caught skinny dipping in April. And the thing about institutions you must understand is they have to account for this. So they have certain benchmarks they need to meet. They need to beat the S&P 500. And if they don't, then they have to explain to their clients why the S&P 500 is up 15%, 16%, while their portfolio is barely breaking even. So they have to account for this. And because of that, now that we're in November, towards the end of the year, and they only have 1 month to beat the S&P 500, they have to come up with strategies. And one of the strategies they do is play these games, and they get everybody involved. They get the media to have people on TV who are bearish and start putting all these crazy, theories out there about why the AI movement is done. They start citing people like Michael Burry, people who basically, had one prediction that went right in 2008, and he's been wrong ever since. The last 3 years, this guy's been saying that the market was going down, and we've been on an incredible bull run since 2022. So these are the type of games they play. So you may say, okay, CG, when should we be worried about the market? Okay, that's fine. I'll tell you. These are a few indicators that will let you know when the market could be going down. One is earnings. Earnings is the most important thing. But here's the thing about earnings. The Magnificent Seven, who controls over 30% of the market, all of them reported stellar earnings. Nvidia just reported their earnings. Nvidia was the last company to report, and they usually knock it out of the park. They knocked it out of the park again. The only person who reported bad earnings was Tesla, but that's a whole nother story. So from an earnings standpoint, we're great. Second thing I would say that could spook the market would be if we had inflation have to start going up about 4 or 5%. And that means instead of lowering interest rates, now they have to hike interest rates. But that's been fine. We've actually been having disinflation. And when I say disinflation, let me be clear, because we don't have deflation. Deflation is, 2020 when, the eggs were only like $1 or something like that. We're not going back to those prices. Those days are done. We're experiencing disinflation, which means inflation might have only been going up 3% or 4% a year. Now it's going up maybe 2% a year. It's still rising. It's just rising at a slower pace. So that's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing disinflation. So the third thing that could spook the market would be if we have a recession. Now, I'm not ruling that out because AI is affecting a lot of jobs. But here's the thing about a recession and why I don't think it's going to happen. Even if a recession happens, I can promise you, Trump is going to deny it. Why do I say that? Okay, well, in 2022, we technically had a recession. We had it on Biden's watch. Now, a recession by textbook, it means 2 negative quarters of GDP. We had that. Biden came out in 2022. He was like, no, we don't have a recession because there's other indicators that are pointing to why the economy is doing well. So they ruled it out. When they did that, I just started buying like crazy because I was like, okay, the market gonna love this. The market love for the president or the Federal Reserve to have a positive outlook, you know. And so if he denied it then, if Biden denied the recession then, what do you think Trump is gonna do? Trump is not built for no recession. He's never gonna claim that. That's the third thing. Now, an honorable mention, I would say, is war. Now, hey, if we were to go to war, hey, I can't help you with that. That's a whole nother ball game. So if you eliminate those factors, the market is doing good. An example of what took place in April when the market was going down, Trump, he gave you a very snippet of what he would do if we was to go into a recession. First thing he said was when the market was down over 20% in April, he did something no president ever came out and did. He said, buy. No president ever does that. So this just goes to show you that it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, because I don't get into the political talk about who's affecting the stock market more out of the Republicans and Democrats. That's a fool's argument. The market is going to continue to go over time, especially if you're inside the S&P 500. So if you're in the S&P 500, historically, the market goes up 10% on average every year. You may have some years may be weak, and you may have some years where it may be up 20% like the past 2 years. But on average, it's going to rise 10% annually. So don't let them scare you. They're playing these tactics for a reason. They want to trap retail and get retail out the market, you know, so they can continue to basically put out these, you know, talking points and say retail is dumb money, but the whole year retail has been smart money. Don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to the media. And rest assured, the AI revolution is still intact. And as a matter of fact, we're in the beginning stages of an AI revolution. Well, you think that just all of a sudden just went away? No. So you think all of these jobs and the way that different industries are being affected by AI, you think that suddenly is going to disappear? No. We're in the beginning stages. So ignore the media, ignore your best friend at work that's trying to predict the stock market crash. Do what's called dollar cost averaging. If you haven't started a position, this is the best time to start it. And dollar cost averaging simply means putting a little bit in the market every single month or every single week, however you so see fit, and continuously, you know, add money to the market. So, you know, keep your head on straight, you know, relax. Everything is going to be cool. Everything is going to be fine. And see you guys in the market.